Good evening, I'm Alma Angeles, and you're watching Eagle News International. On tonight's program, former U.S. President Donald Trump made a notable appearance in Iowa, sharing a stage with his Republican rivals for the first time. And despite facing multiple legal challenges, Trump remains resolute in his pursuit of the White House and has vowed to continue his bid, even if convicted and sentenced in one of the ongoing cases.
If I weren't running, I would have nobody coming after me. Or if I was losing by a lot, I would have nobody coming after me.
The U.S. has pledged to work to ensure the full restoration of constitutional order in Niger after the military takeover on Wednesday. Secretary of State Antony Blinken spoke to ousted President Mohamed Bazoum in a phone call, offering him his unflagging support. Our next story tonight will also take us to southeastern China, where Typhoon Durian made a powerful landfall this morning, and the region is currently grappling with the impact of the storm as high winds and torrential rains batter coastal areas. And later, Russian President Vladimir Putin directs criticism at Western countries, accusing them of refusing to engage in negotiations with Moscow. Former U.S. President Donald Trump made a notable appearance in Iowa, sharing a stage with his Republican rivals for the first time. Despite facing multiple legal challenges, Trump remains resolute in his pursuit of the White House and has vowed to continue his bid, even if convicted and sentenced in one of the ongoing cases. The event in question was the party's Lincoln Dinner fundraiser, where each candidate was allotted 10 minutes to address the attendees. The format of the Lincoln Dinner may have limited fireworks, but Trump didn't hesitate to express his views on his main challenger, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis.
In the newest echelon poll of swing states, we're trouncing Biden by 7 points. In the big new premise poll, we're beating Biden 43-39, while DeSantis is losing to Biden 33-38. In other polls, I'm leading Biden by 6, 7, 8, and 11 points, while DeSantis is losing to Biden in all cases. I wouldn't take a chance on that one. I'm leading in the primary polls by 50 and 55% against him and others. And a poll just came out where I'm leading in Iowa. We love Iowa by 34 points. If I weren't running, I would have nobody coming after me. Or if I was losing by a lot, I would have nobody coming after me. We were getting out of Afghanistan very powerfully with dignity and strength. In fact, I spoke to the leader of the Taliban, and from that time on, not one American soldier was killed. 18 months, not one soldier was killed until Biden came along and ended up giving them $85 billion worth of equipment, left many Americans behind. We lost 13 incredible lives and many, many badly wounded. The most embarrassing, I think, moment in the history of our country. And because of that, I believe that was the incentive for Vladimir Putin to invade Ukraine when he saw the incompetence of our military and our leadership more than anything else. The whole Afghanistan mess, what a shame it was. The 2024 election is our last shot to save America, and there's only one candidate, and you know who that candidate is, who's going to get the job done. I won Iowa twice by really a lot. We set records, and together we will crush crooked Joe Biden, the most crooked president in the history of our country by far, and also grossly incompetent, doesn't know what he's doing. He's destroying our country. We will win the election big, and we will make America great again. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
The legal woes for former President Donald Trump continue to escalate as new charges are added to the already extensive list against him. Last month, Trump was indicted in the classified documents case, accused of endangering national security by holding onto top-secret nuclear and defense information after leaving the White House. In a significant development, concern instructed a worker at his Florida beachfront estate to delete surveillance footage to obstruct investigators. Trump adamantly denies any wrongdoing, maintaining his innocence throughout these legal battles. The United States has pledged to work to ensure the full restoration of constitutional order in Niger after the military takeover. Secretary of State Antony Blinken spoke to ousted President Mohamed Bazoum in a phone call, offering him his unflagging support.
As the Secretary reiterated yesterday, we are gravely concerned about the developments in Niger. The situation remains fluid. We are monitoring the situation closely and continue to be in close touch with the embassy in Niamey. As you all know, Secretary Blinken spoke to President Bazoum yesterday. He conveyed the unwavering support of the United States for President Bazoum and Niger's democracy. He emphasized that the U.S. stands with the Nigerian people and regional and international partners in condemning this effort to seize power by force. He also underscored that the strong U.S. economic and security partnership with Niger depends on the continuation of democratic governance and the respect of the rule of law and human rights. I will also note that Assistant Secretary of State for African Affairs Molly Fee had the opportunity yesterday to speak with Foreign Minister Hassoumi and former Nigerian President Issoufou to condemn the efforts to seize power.
The U.S. is also communicating with a broad array of military leaders in Niger, according to the State Department. This comes after coup leaders declared General Abdurrahmane Chiani, the head of the Presidential Guard, as the new head of state. Chiani appeared on state television on Friday, saying he was the president of the National Council for the Safeguard of the Homeland and warning that any foreign military intervention could lead to chaos. The general, who has previously kept out of public life, presented the coup as a response to the degradation of the security situation linked to jihadist bloodshed. The UN Security Council condemned the efforts to unconstitutionally change the legitimate government and called for Bazoum's immediate release. In tonight's other news, Typhoon Durian made landfall in southeastern China Friday morning, unleashing high winds and torrential rains on coastal areas. The deadly storm had previously bypassed Taiwan while moving from the Philippines. Chinese state broadcaster CCTV reported wind speeds of up to 175 kilometers per hour as the typhoon struck the coast of Fujian province at around 10 a.m. local time. The storm's intensity led the National Weather Observatory to issue the most severe red alert in its four-tier system, expressing grave concerns for resident safety and potential property damage. Over 416,000 people in Fujian province were evacuated to safe places as a precautionary measure, according to state news agency Xinhua. In Xiamen, meanwhile, a major port city on the Taiwan Strait, a bus station's roof was ripped off and slammed against a nearby sign due to the heavy weather. Streets in the city were filled with fallen trees, while flooding elsewhere impeded vehicular passage, leading to police intervention. China's National Meteorological Center also renewed an orange alert for rainstorms across large parts of the country, effective from 2 p.m. Friday until 2 p.m. Saturday. The typhoon's rampage through the northern Philippines on Wednesday caused devastation with trees, power pylons, landslides, and floods impacting the region. The death toll in the Philippines has risen, people still missing, including 4 Coast Guard rescuers, as reported by the country's National Disaster Agency. Durian had been a super typhoon as it swept across the Pacific Ocean earlier this week, but lost some intensity as it neared the Philippines. Meanwhile, Tropical Storm Falcon, internationally known as Kanun, has entered the Philippine area of responsibility, as confirmed by the state-run Weather Bureau, Pagasa. The storm is currently forecasted to move north-northwestward while remaining over the Philippine Sea and far from any land mass. According to Pagasa, Falcon is expected to steadily intensify, potentially becoming a typhoon or severe typhoon by Sunday afternoon. Its peak intensity is anticipated to occur after exiting the country, likely by Monday afternoon or evening.
So itong area na ito, yung yellow-orange area na yan, ito yung may mga malalakas na hangin, at least 39 kilometers per hour. At itong area na enclosed na ito yung tinatawag nating probability cone or area of probability. So if ever magkaroon ng shift pa east or pa west na ating bagyo, pwede mag-lie within this area of probability. So inaasahan nga natin itong si Falcon nakikilos papuntang north-northwest ngayon hanggang bukas and then tutungong northwest on Monday. At sa nakikita nga natin, malayo ito sa landmass ng ating bansa. Posible ding lumabas itong si Falcon na ating bansa probably by Monday morning o di kaya Tuesday evening. And after that, posible nga itong maglandfall o lumapit sa may Okinawa Islands between Monday and Tuesday morning. And posible na afterwards naman, tatahakin naman ito yung direction papuntang East China towards the east coast of China nga. Then, in the next 3 days, sinaasahan nga natin yung paglakas nitong si Falcon at posibleng ito ay mapunta sa typhoon category probably by tomorrow afternoon or evening, and yung kanyang pinakamalakas or peak intensity on late Monday or early Tuesday. So, habang itong si Falcon ay kinoconsolidate nga yung kanyang circulation, yung mga pagbabago sa ating forecast track ay nananatiling posible.
In a bid to bolster its diminishing arms stockpiles, the U.S. has announced plans to aid Australia in establishing a missile manufacturing and exporting industry. Following high-level talks between officials from both nations, the decision was made to initiate the project, which holds the potential to significantly boost Australia's defense capabilities and industrial sector.
We hope to see manufacturing of missiles commence in Australia in 2 years' time as part of a collective industrial base between our two countries. And this represents a very, very significant step forward in our relationship and in the relationship of our defence industry.
He also emphasized the significance of establishing a guided weapons and explosive ordnance enterprise within the country. The focal point of the project will be the development of guided multiple launch rocket systems, commonly referred to as GMLRs. To mark the importance of this initiative, U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken and Pentagon Chief Lloyd Austin traveled to Brisbane to join the announcement. The collaborative efforts between the U.S. and Australia are aimed at securing a reliable pipeline for the supply of missiles and munitions for their respective armed forces, especially in light of the ongoing strain on military supply chains in the U.S. due to the conflict in Ukraine, which has steadily depleted their stocks. Simultaneously, Australia is embarking on an amphibious overhaul of its armed forces, strategically shifting towards long-range strike capabilities to deter potential adversaries, including China, by maintaining a safe distance. As part of the broader collaboration, Canberra has also agreed to refurbish strategically important military bases in the northern region of the country. This development will enable these bases to host training exercises and facilitate increased rotation of U.S. troops. Meanwhile, Australia has paused a major military exercise with the U.S. after a helicopter crashed into the Pacific, leaving 4 aircrew missing. The MRH-90 Typhoon helicopter went down late Friday night in subtropical waters near Hamilton Island, Queensland. It had been taking part in the Talisman Sabre exercise, which features 30,000 military personnel from Australia, the United States, and several other nations. The drills are designed to test large-scale logistics, land combat, amphibious landings, and air operations, and to signal the strength of Western military alliances. Japan, France, Germany, and South Korea are also taking part.
A terrible moment. I really deeply appreciate the assistance that has been provided by a variety of civil agencies, the Queensland Police, the Australian Maritime Safety Agency, and the public, as well as our US allies, all of whom have come together to assist, to continue the search and rescue, and to find our people.
The 2023 AUSMIN has been conducted with heavy hearts given the news that we woke up to this morning. I know I speak on behalf of all 4 of us when I say that our thoughts and prayers are very much with the missing aircrew.
In a bid to bolster its military presence in the region amid increasing competition with China, U.S. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin announced a significant move. A U.S. Coast Guard ship will be deployed to Papua New Guinea following a recently signed defense pact between the two countries. Now, certain zones will be designated for exclusive use, enabling development and construction activities. Echo?
That's right, Alma. During this historic visit to Papua New Guinea, Austin revealed the deployment of U.S. Coast Guard cutter in August, marking a pivotal moment in strengthening security cooperation between the nations. Perched between Taiwan and U.S. ally Australia, Papua New Guinea holds great significance as the largest and most populous state in Melanesia.
It's an opportunity to expand upon a long-standing relationship that's been strong throughout.
Prime Minister James Marape also reaffirmed the pact's benefits, stating that it would contribute to modernizing Papua New Guinea's infrastructure and enhancing its security. Marape emphasized that the United States has never compromised Papua New Guinea's sovereignty, autonomy, or independence. The country invited the United States to assist in developing its defense capabilities and protecting its borders, including preventing the theft of fish from its waters.
They have not made any request to us for military relationships. It is the media that keeps on going on and on about China. When we were signing the DCA with USA, Chinese government through the embassy here did relate to us. They have no issue whatsoever with us signing the DCA with USA. And USA do not need PNG's ground to be a launching pad for any offense anywhere else in the world. When they speak to China or Taiwan, they have bases in Philippines, in Korea, elsewhere, much closer to China than PNG. And I want to give assurance to everyone here, including our friends from Asia, that this is not about setting up for war. Rather, it's about setting a presence for nation building in Papua New Guinea and this part of our country, this part of planet Earth and in the Pacific. That has been secured. I want to appreciate USA. They have never tampered with our sovereignty and our autonomy and our independence. Within the ambit and respect of our sovereignty, we invited them in the defense space. It is not them coming in. We invited them in the defense space to build up our defense, to protect our own borders, including stopping theft of fish from our seas and flight of the illegal forest from our forests. They came in at our invitation.
As the significant partnership between Papua New Guinea and the United States unfolds, we will closely monitor its development. Stay tuned to Eagle News International for the latest updates. I am Echo Hortaleza Quinola, and we live in extraordinary times.
The deployment of the U.S. Coast Guard ship and the security pact represent a crucial chapter in the evolving dynamics of the South Pacific region. Thank you for the update, Echo Hortaleza, our correspondent from Papua New Guinea. Meanwhile, Russian President Vladimir Putin criticizes Western countries for refusing to negotiate with Moscow as African leaders call for an end to the war with Ukraine at a summit. And today we witnessed Russian President Vladimir Putin's strong criticism of Western countries for their refusal to negotiate with Moscow amid calls for African leaders for an end to the war with Ukraine.
И мы, конечно, согласны с вами в том, что все противоречия должны решаться в ходе переговоров. Но проблема-то заключается в том, что с нами отказываются вести переговоры. Суть конфликта, в основе конфликта лежит создание угроз безопасности России со стороны США и НАТО, а они, еще раз повторю, отказываются от переговоров по вопросам обеспечения равной безопасности для всех, включая Россию. Неоднократно говорили, я официально заявлял, что мы готовы к этим переговорам. Но мы же не можем навязывать эти переговоры. Поэтому нужно, мне кажется, вести диалог и собраться с той стороной, хотя мы благодарны нашим африканским друзьям за внимание к этой проблеме.
Addressing the plenary session, the chairman of the African Union Commission, Musa Faki Mahamat, emphasized the urgent need for peace, declaring that the war must stop and highlighting the importance of resolving the Syrian crisis. Russian President Vladimir Putin on Friday said Moscow is carefully examining proposals made by some African leaders to end the conflict in Ukraine. The African proposals included military de-escalation, security guarantees for both sides, and a mutual recognition of sovereignty. Ukraine rejected the offer, saying it would freeze the conflict without ensuring that Russian troops leave Ukrainian soil. The Kremlin had also said earlier that the African proposals would be very difficult to implement. In June, an African delegation traveled first to Ukraine and then to Russia to offer mediation in the conflict. And today, a Russian missile struck an apartment block in the central Ukrainian city of Dnipro, leaving at least 9 people injured, including 2 children. Now, this shocking incident has raised serious concerns about the escalating conflict in the region. Earlier, Internal Affairs Minister Igor Klimenko also confirmed the Russian strike on a multi-story building in Dnipro with 5 people being injured.
Ракета влучила в житловий комплекс Женева, частково його зруйнувала. Але добре, що ця будівля не була введена ще в експлуатацію, там перебувала невелика кількість людей, в переважній більшості перебували будівельники. І друга ракета частково зруйнувала адміністративну будівлю Служби безпеки України. Щодо жертв,
President Volodymyr Zelensky responded to the incident, stating Dnipro Friday evening, a high-rise building and the security service of Ukraine's building were hit. Russian missile terror again. And he assured that all necessary services were on site and they are closely monitoring the situation. Meanwhile, Russia claimed that it intercepted 2 Ukrainian missiles over its southern Rostov region bordering Ukraine. The city of Taganrog reportedly experienced debris falling, leading to at least a dozen injuries. It's crucial to note that regions bordering Ukraine and Russia have faced regular drone strikes and shelling since the start of Moscow's military campaign in February last year. However, incidents involving direct missile strikes in Russian territory have been relatively rare. In a dire warning, the World Food Program is facing a crippling funding crisis, leading to life-saving assistance being scaled back at a time when acute hunger is reaching record levels. The largest food and nutrition crisis in history persists.
The largest food and nutrition crisis in history today persists. This year, 345 million people continue to be acutely food insecure, while hundreds of millions of people are at risk of worsening hunger. The causes of this food crisis are manifold: climate change and unrelenting disasters, and added pressure from persistent food price inflation and mounting debt distress or stress amid unexpected slowdown in the global economy. But conflict and insecurity remains a primary driver of acute hunger around the world. The impacts of armed conflict on food security can be direct, such as displacement from land, looting, or destruction of food stocks and agricultural assets. Indirect impact can include the disruption of food system and markets and decreases access to supplies necessary for food preparation, such as fuel and water. Many of the countries where WFP works are dramatic examples of the link between conflict and hunger.
The loss of Ukraine as a reliable source of wheat is a major concern, as it had been WFP's biggest supplier since 2022.
Collapse of the Black Sea Initiative is, of course, regrettable, to say the least. Under the initiative, WFP has shipped more than 725,000 tons of grain, relieving hunger in some of the hardest hit corners of the world, including Afghanistan, the Horn of Africa, and Yemen. WFP relied on Ukraine, a competitively priced, accessible, and high-quality source of wheat. Despite the war, and thanks to this accord, Ukraine remained WFP's biggest supplier of wheat in 22, supplying more than half of WFP's wheat grain. Losing this source is now of great concern, of course. Yesterday, an interagency mission carried out a humanitarian assessment to Darfur, crossing from Adri in Chad and traveling to El Geneina in West Darfur. This is the first time that we have been able to reach El Geneina since the start of the conflict in April. The team passed through towns and villages that are almost totally abandoned following a mass exodus of people. Most infrastructure, from health facilities to banks, have been destroyed, and those that remain are mostly women and their children who are acutely vulnerable and have not fled because they are and have not been able to flee because they are too scared.
SCOW stressed the urgency of collective action to address global food security as millions of hungry people cannot wait for prolonged deliberations or diplomatic detours. And we have some breaking news regarding Haiti's security situation. The United States has taken a significant step amidst the spiraling insecurity in the Caribbean nation. The State Department has ordered its non-essential personnel and the family of government employees to leave Haiti. In an updated travel advisory issued on Thursday evening, the State Department also restated its warning, advising all Americans not to travel to Haiti at this time. The situation has become increasingly precarious, prompting urgent action. The State Department statement urged U.S. citizens currently in Haiti to depart as soon as possible using available commercial or private transportation options. Gangs currently control approximately 80% of the Haitian capital, and violent crimes such as kidnappings for ransom, armed robberies, and carjackings continue to surge in the impoverished nation. Haitian security forces are overwhelmed, and since late April, there have been reports of mob killings against presumed criminals on the rise. The staff at the U.S. Embassy in Port-au-Prince already live under tight security measures. They are confined to a protected residential area and are strictly prohibited from walking around the capital or using public transport and taxis. And we're following news tonight out of Quebec, where fires continue to rage in the northern part of the territory. The fires are concentrated in an area where mainly isolated indigenous communities live. The Canadian province is experiencing an exceptional fire season, shattering all previous records. And there are currently 85 active fires covering more than 5 million hectares, an area the size of Costa Rica. The fires have forced the evacuation of thousands of people and have destroyed homes, businesses, and infrastructure. The smoke from the fires has also caused health problems for people in the region. The authorities are deploying firefighters from all over Quebec, as well as from other provinces and countries. However, the fires are so large and the conditions are so dry that it's difficult to contain them. The authorities are warning that the fires could continue to burn for weeks or even months. And our next story takes us to the world's oceans. We are witnessing concerning developments in rising sea temperatures. According to the latest data released by the U.S. National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, the North Atlantic has hit its highest ever temperature level, weeks earlier than its typical annual peak. The North Atlantic Ocean has recorded an unprecedented average sea surface temperature of 24.9 degrees Celsius, equivalent to 76.8 degrees Fahrenheit, as reported by NOAA. Now, this record comes as a surprise given that the region usually reaches its peak temperature in early September. To put this into context, the previous record high of 24.89 degrees Celsius was set in September 2022. Climate scientists are expressing serious concern about the accelerating pace of global warming, which is intensifying the searing heat experienced by millions of people worldwide. NOAA will take around 2 weeks to confirm these preliminary findings, but the implications of such warming trends are significant, affecting both marine ecosystems and coastal communities. And tonight, a heartwarming story where we share inspiring tales of kindness and unity. Today, we return to Hong Kong, where the spirit of compassion continues to touch lives in remarkable ways. On Labor Day, a group of overseas Filipino workers in Hong Kong organized an extraordinary event called Care for Humanity. Fast forward to today, the impact of that event has resonated deeply with those who attended, and many of them experienced a profound sense of purpose and belonging, so much so that they decided to become members of the Church of Christ. Kit Wong reports.
Thank you, Elma. Let us tell you a story about May 1st, Labor Day in Hong Kong. It's a public holiday, and a special day for overseas Filipino workers, or OFWs, living in Hong Kong. Every year, they love celebrating this occasion by teaming up with local Filipino groups for fun picnics, cultural events, and all sorts of exciting activities. But there's a twist. Members of the Church of Christ, also known as Iglesia de Cristo, saw this public holiday as the perfect opportunity to organize a fantastic event called Care for Humanity. Their mission was to lend a helping hand to their fellow Filipinos and migrant workers, as well as the locals in Hong Kong. They prepared goodie bags filled with essential items and a special magazine called God's Message to share their faith with others. Now, fast forward to today, July 23. Some of the guests who attended the May 1st event were so deeply moved by the kindness and compassion they witnessed that they decided to become members of the Church of Christ themselves. The Iglesia de Cristo, or Church of Christ, continuing with their Care for Humanity programs here in Hong Kong. Their members unceasingly reach out to help their fellow men, especially the Filipino overseas workers.
Ang Iglesia ni Cristo po ay nagsagawa ngayon dito po sa Bayanihan Center ng Linga Pamamahayag na kung saan ay napakarami pong bilang ng mga tao na nakapakinig ng mga aral ng Diyos na atin pong sinasampalatayanan. Ito po ay bilang pagsunod natin sa kalooban ng ating Panginoong Diyos na maipaalam sa tao ang katotohanan para sa kanilang ikaliligtas.
It's incredible to see how such acts of care and kindness have made an impact on people's lives.
Nagpapasalamat po kami sa INC, Iglesia ni Cristo, na sila po ang sponsor or isa sa mga bahagi ng aming medical mission na sumusuporta sa aming pagpapatupad ng medical mission sa araw na ito. Nagpapasalamat din po kami sa kanila na nagbibigay po sila ng ayuda para sa mga pasyente po at sa mga nagdalo ngayon araw na ito.
Maraming salamat po sa relief na pinagkaloob ng INC.
May natutunan po kaming aral ngayong araw. Tapos maraming salamat po sa blessing na binigay niyo sa amin.
Salamat po sa sharing ng yung kaligtasan. Dito ay mapipil mo na yung iglesia talaga na mararamdaman mo po.
Maraming salamat po sa ngayong araw po na ito na binigay na medical mission po ng INC at syempre maraming salamat din po.
Maraming salamat.
Salamat sa binigyan nyo na ayuda.
Salamat.
Thank you.
This just goes to show that when the smallest gestures of care and compassion can make a world of difference to people's lives.
Malaking tulong po sa ating mga kasamahan para ma-address po agad yung kung ano man po yung mga concerns nila regarding health. Especially po yung mga nasa treatment ngayon, hopefully po mabigyan ng kahit papaano yung advice, encouragement towards their challenges, towards their journey para po mas kumbaga magkaroon ng hope sa kanilang pinagdadaanan.
Ako po si Josie, 49 years old. Isa po akong cancer warrior, cancer survivor, less than 2 years. I'm in a road of recovery, and I'm very, very thankful to God. Because truly, God is good. Hindi lang sa tinapay nabubuhay ang tao, kundi sa salita ng Diyos. Napakahalaga po ng ating kaligtasan. Ang ating kaluluwa, pagkain ng ating kaluluwa sa salita ng Diyos. Maraming po salamat sa medical mission, sa oras na ito at sa ayuda. Thank you so much po at napakabigat. Kahit bawal akong magbibit ng mabigat, very thankful po at napakalaking bagay po nito kasi tawag nito, food allowance po ako. So I provide my own food. So very, very thankful po at very blessed talaga. Hindi ko po ini-expect, which is I belong to film cast, Filipino Migrant Cancer Society in Hong Kong. We are all cancer survivors.
That's not all. Net 25's program Responded was also present at the event, capturing all the heartwarming moments and spreading the goodness even further.
I'm one of the founding chairman of Guardians Brotherhood Tiger Band International, which is not only here in Hong Kong, but I have in some different countries. We make this medical mission in partnership of our brothers in INC, and also Responde from Net 25.
For the members of the Church of Christ here in Hong Kong, this humanitarian activity and sharing of their faith that was held today is part of their commemoration of the 109th anniversary of the Church on July 27.
Buong puso din po ako nagpapasalamat sa ating kapatid na ka Eduardo Manalo po sa lahat po ng ganitong ipinapahayag niya po na pagtutulong po sa ating kapwa. Maraming salamat po at sana po mabuhay po ang ating kapatid Eduardo Manalo.
From Kennedy Town, Hong Kong, this is Kit Wong reporting for Eagle News. Stay safe because we live in extraordinary times.
As always, I'll end the week on a thoughtful note. Challenges may often come our way, but sometimes it takes a good fall to know where we really stand. This has been Eagle News International. Stay alert, stay informed, because we live in extraordinary times. Good night.